I still love myself. First, I want to thank everybody for coming out this afternoon. And I do want to say this. Hurt people hurt people.
That's it.
And for those that really didn't get that, people who've been hurt, they wind up hurting other people. I was listening to what Carla and my good friend, like Dr. Young, was saying, and it reminded me of how, even for our parents, we talked about, looking at our children as people. Our parents are people. And sometimes we expect them to have it all together, expect them to know exactly what to do, the best thing to say. And the reality is we don't. And they don't. Some of them were like us, figuring it out as they went along.
That's right.
And if they didn't take the time to love themselves, they wind up hurting us. And so I think it's important for us to really start to look at how we were raised. I tell people it's not what you do, but why you do it. And understanding the importance of what went into making you who you are. As Clayton talked about, me introducing you to yourself. And there's a slogan that I have, but it's my life's purpose. Because I honestly believe that people really don't know who they are. They really don't know, in fact, what they have to offer, and they really don't know what it is they can do. So as we talk about self-love today, we want to make sure that we understand who it is that we are and what it is that we offer. Now, by a show of hands, how many of you can say that you have something that you have to offer the world? Come on, everybody's hands should go up. Everybody's hands should go up because they know that they have something to offer the world. Now, my question is, do you know why it's important for you to get that out? For you to share that? See, so many people think that because they aren't where they are going to be, that they'll never get there. Everybody started somewhere. Everybody started at some place and some stage in life. And so just because somebody walked in on your story right now doesn't mean that it's over. How many of you have ever gotten up and left a movie in the middle of the movie? You have? Well, I did one, but rarely do I do that because I want to see how it's going to end. Right. I hang out until even if it seems like the movie is over, even if it seems like the good guy has lost, I want to stay and see how does he get out of it. Well, our life is the same way. And somebody walked in on your life at a certain point, and you can't judge somebody just by the chapter that they walked in on. And so even understanding that we are a work in progress, that our story is not over, it's not finished. It's not where you start, but where you finish. But you don't have any control over where you started, but you have control over how you finish. Yeah. I remember, and I don't know if y'all know who Les Brown is, but he is the number one motivational speaker in the world. And he started off, in a desperate situation. He was born in an abandoned house in Liberty City, Florida, one of the poorest areas of Miami, Florida. And he was adopted. He was actually given to another lady, him and his twin brother, to raise. And he was labeled educable mentally retarded. He was put back twice. But yet and still, he didn't let that stop him. My thing is that even looking at our own life, what is it that you are letting stop you from loving yourself? One of the biggest challenges that even Les Brown talks about is the fact that he thought he couldn't do what he's doing now. And we can be our own best friend, but we can also be our own worst enemy. I'm going to say that again. We can be our own best friend, but we can be our own worst enemy. What I've learned is that you have to actually spend time ministering to yourself. Yeah. I was talking to my wife just yesterday, and I mentioned something, in fact, which I put in a quote, and then I found a picture to match it. And the quote was, inside every man is a little boy. Inside every woman is a little girl. And my encouragement was to minister to the child in your significant other. That's good. And see what happens. See what happens, because even though me and my wife are well up in age. We still realize that there's parts of us that are broken. Now, there's only so much work we can do to ourselves. I mean, and truly starting to love yourself is the first step. But imagine having people around you that cared about you just as much. Going back to talking about those parents, I think a lot of us need to spend time reconciling, in fact, with our parents, because they didn't get everything right. And believe it or not, we're not getting everything right, even with our children. That's true. I've had to apologize for spankings. Because I should have been spanking you, but I was spanking you. I'm sorry to you, but I'm going to get you. Sometimes I spank first and ask questions later. And so I haven't always gotten it right. I made mistakes. But my children, they know that even when I do, I'm going to make it right because I'm setting an example and a precedence for them. But so I'm helping them to understand the importance of when you do mess up, just fess up. You know, I oftentimes say that one of the sure signs of maturity is being able to accept responsibility for your actions. Okay? One of the sure signs of maturity is being able to accept responsibility for your actions. And when I see someone who is not willing to accept responsibility for their actions, that lets me know that they have yet to mature, whether they be good or bad. I would tell my kids, I said, listen, don't just come in there and say the cup fell. No, you put the cup in a position that it fell. If you're sitting at a table and the table is here and you place the glass right here where you can swing your arm and hit it. Okay, next time, and that's a phrase I always say because, okay, you've already messed up now, but next time let's put the cup up here. And that's how you learn, by making mistakes. But being able to actually not take yourself so seriously that you aren't willing to actually go after something. I know so many people that are so bent on being perfect that they put themselves under so much stress by always trying to have the right thing or say the right thing or do the right thing or wear the right thing. And the reality is, I don't care how hard you live or how long you live, we are not getting out of life alive. That means that no one lives forever. And so having that sort of standard for ourselves, it makes it harder for us to love ourselves. Because every time we mess up, we can be our own best friend, but our own worst enemy. We can beat ourselves up even years after something has happened. And talking about a moment of transparency, I've had to do this even myself. I mean, there are times when I think about times where I messed up, times where I've fallen, times where I've made a bad decision. And it's like as soon as I think about it, the emotion of it comes right back. But what I have to also realize, too, is that I'm not defined by what happened to me. I'm not defined by that decision. Just because you murder somebody doesn't make you a murderer. OK? Just because you've done something one time, that doesn't define you. And on the other end of that, just because you won a race, OK, that makes you the winner of that race. But you got some more to run. Just because you've overcome a situation doesn't mean that that's going to carry on through the rest of your life. So we have an opportunity to continue to grow and to also minister to ourselves, appreciate who we are and where we're heading. You know, I started off by saying hurt people. And how to identify somebody that's hurting. People who are hurting, they don't have anything positive to say. Or even if they do, they try to undercut you. They try to tear you down. I remember, in fact, my wife sharing with me when she was a child that she came home, she was so proud of her grades because she had like 4 A's and 2 B's and 1 C. She came home and she was like, I just know they're going to be happy. And so she went in there and she showed them. And the only thing they saw was the C, how bad the C was. Say, well, you need to bring that C up. And she was so hurt. She was so hurt because she just knew that, okay, look, with all this good stuff I've done, This slip, and I mean, it was a high C, like 78, 79, almost to B. But they just focus on that one little thing. Again, hurt people hurt people. When you have somebody that has gotten their value in being told, to be perfect, then in fact, they want that of everybody else. Now, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, two of the most phenomenal basketball players that have ever gotten on the court. They push themselves. Then they could easily tell somebody else. So even when it comes to us loving ourselves, we have to love ourselves first, because that helps us love other people. That helps us be in a place where we can help minister to other people. But if we don't do it for ourselves, then we'll find ourselves not being able to help anybody else. Just like on the airplane, what they say, put the mask on yourself first and then help somebody else. But so many of us, we're trying to help everybody else and we're running on fumes. In order for you to truly be able to help somebody, you have to be in a position emotionally, mentally, spiritually to help somebody. And that means sometimes pulling away and ministering to yourself. And I don't care what it is. You can just take yourself out for ice cream. I mean, go to Old Dutch, something to help encourage you. I remember when I was in high school, believe it or not, and I know some of y'all are going to just gasp when you hear this, but there was a time when I couldn't even buy a date. I mean, I was promising dinner and a movie. Wow. McDonald's and a matinee. No takers. I was like, what is going on? So during that time, I became my own best friend. I took myself places. I started doing stuff that I like to do. I could stay as long as I want to. I could leave when I got ready to. I could do exactly what I want. I didn't have to check with anybody. I didn't have to, do something to fit in with somebody. I became my own best friend. And you know what I learned? That I'm a pretty good person. I started to appreciate the person I was in. I did a video a couple of years ago entitled, People Don't Like You. I said, well, that's their loss. Because if you really got a chance to know me, you would see just how valuable I was. But see, first I had to value myself. If I didn't value myself, I would be upset because people didn't like me. But honestly, when you really understand who you are and what you have, what type of person you are, you'll find yourself being able to say, that's their loss. They're missing out. That's good. And so even for you, understanding who you are, the type of person that you are, the type of friend that you are, the type of sister that you are, the type of daughter or type of mother that you are, or father, that actually, it makes the difference in how you look at yourself and how you react to what people say about you. Tyler Perry oftentimes says it's not what they call you, it's what you answer to. Yeah. And that means that you have to make sure that you know who you are. If somebody walked in the store right now and said, I'm going to give $1 million to every woman in here, one thing I know, I don't get $1 million. I just don't get $1 million. Now, I'm going to try to be some friends with some of y'all because y'all got the money, but I know that doesn't apply to me because I know who I am. If you know who you are, there are certain things you will and won't accept. There are certain things you will and won't accept, certain things you will put up with and you won't. But it's taking the time to know who you are. Know the type of person that you are. Know what it is that you're able to offer the rest of the world. That's where you see your value and you see how you can actually make the difference in the people around you. I have 5 kids, just in case I didn't know. I know I look good for it. But I have 5 kids. Me and my wife, we have 5 kids. The oldest is 32, the youngest is 12. We got 2 boys and 3 girls, and the boys are the bookends. So I spend a lot of time talking, needless to say. And I've oftentimes said that when my kids were growing up, if I spanked them every time they did something wrong, I would have to contract it out. I would have to hire somebody to come in and do it every time they did something wrong. So I had to give them enough leeway to make mistakes and to learn from them so that they could do better. I was telling them, I said, look, I'm not raising children, I'm raising adults. They looked at me like, wait a minute, What you mean? I said, okay, do you wait till you get to school to put your school clothes on? I said, no. I said, you wait till you get to church to put your church clothes on? They said, no, sir. I said, do you wait until you get in the pool to put your swimsuit on? They said, no. I said, right. I said, why? Because you always get dressed somewhere else, right? You always get ready somewhere else. Well, you don't wait till you become an adult to learn how to be one. I said, now is the time and this is the place that you learn the skills you need to be an adult. And even learn how to appreciate the person that you are as a child. You know, Clayton talked about how, you know, people or parents they can really cripple a child by the words that they say. But if you truly understand who you are, even those words, I don't care how heavy they are, they won't last. I had to spend a whole lot of time building up my own self-confidence. And I'll just be honest with you, it was nobody but God that helped me to understand who I was and how valuable he sees me. Not because I'm more better than you, because all of us have a different value and a different purpose. But I started to understand and see, and I truly, if I live by the scripture, you know, to whom much is given, much is required. But see, I think a lot of people really don't understand what they've been given. All of us have talents, skills, and abilities. The question is, are we using them? Do you recognize them for what they are? The reason a lot of people don't reach their full potential is because they don't see their full potential. And you have to be able to see that in yourself, to see what it is you have, what it is you are willing to actually do to bring that out. So many times people say that, okay, I'm not going after my goals, my dreams because of what somebody may say, or because I may fail. How many of y'all would believe that I had a speech impediment? When I was in middle school and younger, I stuttered. If you would have told me I was going to be standing up doing motivational speaking, I probably would have cussed you out. You crazy. But I knew I had so much in me that I wanted to get out. And I couldn't allow just that little part of me to define me. And the biggest help I got was from my uncle. He said, you know what? Really, the only thing you need to do is slow down. He said, because your mind is on sentence 3 and your mouth is on sentence 1. And you're trying to dump everything out. Just slow down and you can methodically put stuff out. And if you remember President Barack Obama, he had the same issue. But that's because his mind was moving so fast. He literally had to slow himself down so he could get it out. What is it that you have to do in order for you to get out what's in you? What challenge do you face that will actually cause you to not achieve that goal? I really want all of us to understand that loving ourselves is the most important thing that you can do. Because believe it or not, people are watching. If you allow yourself to be treated any kind of way, especially for our kids, they'll think, well, that's the way it's supposed to be. I'm supposed to let somebody walk over me. I'm supposed to let somebody put me down. I'm supposed to let somebody, tell me I can't do this and I can't do that. But if you stand up for yourself, you are setting an example for the rest of the world. So I want to encourage each and every one of you, don't just live your life. Live it to the fullest. Don't just exist, but make a difference. Because when you realize just how much you've been given, and when you realize who's waiting on you, you'll do whatever it takes. I didn't let the fact that I had a speech impediment or a stuttering problem keep me from sharing my story. But I also realized too that I had to love who I was. I had to love who I am. But I also know that I wanted to do so much more. So with that being said, I have a couple of questions that I want to ask y'all in general. What is it that is holding you back from loving yourself? Anybody? Anybody at all?
Honest answer.
Yeah, go ahead, answer. Life. So life is holding you back from loving yourself. What part of life? The whole part?
Infant to now.
Okay, from infant to. So, did you go through any sort of challenges growing up? Okay, so those challenges of life that have kept you from loving yourself. Now, I'm not a psychiatrist, believe me, I tell people no, but in order to get the right answers, you have to ask the right questions, okay? In order to get the right answer, you have to ask the right questions. So we have to find out why is it that we act a certain way or we respond a certain way. Why is it that, when someone says something about our appearance, we just get hot and we want to jump on somebody? What about when somebody lies to us or somebody lets us down? Somebody say, I'm gonna be there, and they don't show up. I mean, and what we'll find is that it was something in our past, something in our childhood, and that emotion comes back. It brings back, so we have to deal with that. As I was driving here, I was thinking about how many people will say, man, just get over it. Just get over it. Well, sometimes the reason people can't get over something, because they're still in it. So they can't get over it, they have to get through it. Can you imagine you are in the middle of a river. It's raging, it's water, it's rushing everywhere, and you holding on to a rock. And somebody on the bank saying, get over it. I'm in it. If I was on the bank and there was a bridge, yeah, I could get over it. I can't get over it. I'm in. So what, you want me to go back? You want me to go back and then get over it? No, I'm in it. I need to get through it. And so many of us, we've been hurt, and we've gone through so many things that people will tell you, well, just get over it. I know I need to get through it. That means I need to work through it. I need to figure out how to go from where I am to where I need to be. And that's when you really need somebody to help you do that. In the book that I wrote, Are You Climbing the Wrong Mountain? I talk about the importance of finding your true purpose. And that really comes from really loving who you are. It comes from knowing why you're here, because that gives you your value. And in doing so, you find out that you have so much to offer. You have so much to give. And I tell you, in the end, you'll actually be better because you'll be actually doing what you love to do. So understanding who you are and what you have to offer is so important. With that being said, I have one other question, and then I'm gonna turn it back over to you. The question is, when it comes to helping others, what's the biggest thing that keeps you from doing that?
How they feel about you when you don't do it.
How they feel about you when you don't do it?
Afraid that you're being used.
Afraid that you're being, I'm gonna talk that in a second. Anybody else?
That person may remind you of yourself.
I'm sorry?
I said that person may remind you of yourself, so it's hard to talk to yourself sometimes.
Yeah.
Ask the question again.
What would keep you from helping someone else? The thing that would keep you from actually being there for someone else or showing love to someone else?
Questioning myself, will they help me if I help you?
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Well, I'm going to start with you, and then I'm going to actually, if I work my way back. There are times when we are faced with decisions about, do I go out of my way to help somebody? Do I spend my money, my energy, my effort to help somebody? And we have to really, in that respect, it's not necessarily, are they going to be there for me? I know for myself, there have been times when I've had people to help me, and then I'm in a place where I can help other people. Somebody said that responsibility is nothing more than your ability to respond. Responsibility is nothing more than your ability to respond. If you have the ability to respond, then you have the responsibility. I'm not a mechanic. I can't help you with your car. But if there's somebody else that knows how to work on cars, they have the ability to respond, then if they are in a place they can help, they can respond, it becomes their responsibility. And so even when there are people that may not be able to help you get back or pay you back, if you will, that shouldn't stop you, because I know for me, there have been times when I wasn't able to pay somebody back for them helping me, but I was able to pay it forward. I was able to actually help somebody else out. Why? Because somebody helped me. All right, now, in fact, when it comes to life and when it comes to the situations that we've gone through, we really have to look at why those situations occurred. Going back to what I said earlier, even our parents or those who were in charge of raising us, they weren't perfect either. They were broken. They were hurt. And because they were hurt, they wind up inadvertently hurting others. If they never dealt with their hurt, they're going to just pass it on. And so we have to be able to identify that and then separate that and really stop that, because otherwise it's just a vicious cycle to keep going from one generation to the next. We have to understand that, look, they were just as human as we are. They made their mistakes. But we can learn from them, and we can actually do what's necessary in order to get to where, in fact, we need to be. Now, in fact, your response was, I want to make sure, in fact, that I got it right. You said the being afraid of being used, right? Well, there are opportunities for us to grow in our understanding of what we've been given. And what I mean by that is this. Being afraid of being used, you really have to have a certain amount of discernment, spiritual discernment, when it comes to who you're going to help and how often. There are a lot of people out there, they play on your emotions. They do. They know how to phrase it, how to put it together, how to make it, just fit to where it's just so sad, and they just waiting on you to just dump out or do whatever. But if you use just a little common sense, and see, the person that really needs help won't be offended by you asking. Our Sunday school lesson this morning was making a request, and there was a parable about a guy showing up to a friend's house asking for food because he had somebody come in and he didn't have anything to give him. And the stores were closed. It was at midnight. He didn't have anything. The guy came in late. He didn't have anything to say before him. So he went to his friend and knocked on the door and said, "Hey, do you have any food I could give my friend?" Y'all like, "Man, look, we sleep. Me and my kids sleep. Go away." Excuse me. But because it was important, he kept knocking. And see, people that are easily offended by your questions, they don't really need it. But the ones that really need it, they'll do whatever it takes in order to get the help that they need. Excuse me, can I get some water? I'm sorry. Now, that really means that even being able, thank you, appreciate it. Even being able to actually, just ask some basic questions, just some general information. I remember I was, because I work downtown, and normally during lunch, I take a walk. I was going by the Riverview Plaza, and this guy walked up to me. He said, "Hey man, my wife and my kids are in our car over by the G&O building, and in fact we're out of gas, and I was wondering if you could give me some gas money." I'm like, okay. The G&O building is about a quarter of a mile north of where we were. But what's right next to the G&O building? Exactly, a gas station. So I said, "Isn't there a gas station right over there?" He was like, "Okay, all right, if you're gonna lie, make it a good one. Put some work into it. For you to just come up and say we over there by the gym, there's a service station right there. If you needed gas, you could have went there and asked somebody, but you all the way down here by the Riverview Plaza asked for gas." So just asking questions, And again, if they really need help, they don't mind answering. But if they're trying to get over on you, there's a good likelihood, that something isn't right. So that's how you really filter people out. And I think your response was, I forgot, I was working my way back. Who?
What was your question?
I said, what is the thing that will keep you from helping somebody?
Oh, I said something wrong. Mine was to keep you to help somebody. It was fear of them, their reaction of you saying no, not to help.
Okay. Well, and talking about a humbling experience, when you're the one that needs to help, you're the person, in fact, that needs, in fact, somebody to show up for you. I know sometimes it can be challenging, to actually ask for help, because we have to swallow our pride and we have to be willing to admit that we need help. But I tell my kids all the time, there's nothing wrong with needing help. Nothing wrong with needing help. There's everything wrong with needing it and not being willing to ask for it. So when we find ourselves dealing with other people, dealing with our family, the best thing that we can do is we can love ourselves first. And from that, then we can love other people. Because if you don't love you, if you don't care about what happened to you, you don't care about what happens to anybody else. With that being said, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for inviting me. I want to thank y'all for listening. And if you have any questions or any concerns, please don't hesitate to meet me over at the table where you can buy one of my books. Thanks. Bye.